that thinks that gold is going to rise to just $3,000 and stop, I think is totally insane. I think a price of $5,000 is low for gold. Once it gets going and once there's a rush to it, I just think it's going to blow right through 5,000. If it goes through 10,000, it's possible that fiat currencies could be in trouble at that point. Currency is the currency in circulation plus reserves held at the Federal Reserve in the checking accounts that all of the commercial banks have to have for intrabank lending and such. The blue line at the top is the line of the base currency. If you could take these lines back to 1913, the inception of the Federal Reserve, you would see that they meet. But with the Federal Reserve, it became legal to lie. And basically, they were able to print, they had a 40% reserve ratio mandated, where they had to have 40% lawful money. And it said that on our notes. A Federal Reserve note said that it was backed up by lawful money and was redeemable in lawful money, which was either US Treasury note, gold notes, or gold coin. It shows that they printed them, it exceeded the currency supply. In 1933, they made gold ownership illegal for Americans. And then in 1934, over about a month and a half period, they would unpeg gold and repeg gold, unpeg gold, repeg gold. And basically, it was international exchange rates changing. It was the dollar falling in value. People say that Roosevelt changed the price of gold. No, he didn't. The rest of the world was on a gold standard. There were still countries all over the world that backed their currencies with gold. What was happening is the US dollar was falling in value compared to those currencies and compared to gold. And it rose until the value of the gold at the Treasury matched the currency supply, the base currency that was circulating. And for a little while, we had more gold at the Treasury than currency in circulation leading up to World War II. But then throughout World War II, we kept on printing, printing, printing. And then it's sort of the currency supply as after World War II ended, sort of leveled off for a little while. But then the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Johnson's Great Society. Meanwhile, countries all over the world started redeeming US dollars for gold. And so the gold supplies in the United States fell by almost half. And it was Charles de Gaulle of France that really started a lot of that redeeming of gold. And then Nixon was forced to take us off of the gold standard in 71. And gold just exploded. And the will of the public and the free market again. The first time, most gold analysts will say, Roosevelt changed the price of gold. No, that was the market doing it. This was the will of the public and the free market again, bidding the price of gold up until the number of ounces held at the Treasury exceeded the value of all of the dollars that had been printed from Roosevelt to Nixon, or to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. And there was several months here where the US could have gone back on the gold standard, and we did not take the opportunity. It is such a shame. One of the things in the charts that I use, I also incorporated outstanding revolving credit. And the reason I did that is because I consider it phantom base currency, when you also covered all outstanding revolving credit. And I think in your report here, it says that it would require a gold price of $12,600 to cover base currency today. And I think that when you add outstanding revolving credit to that, it comes out closer to, since they've done some quantitative tightening and withdrawn some of the base currency, it was, I believe, $40,000 or $42,000 per ounce gold to cover base currency plus outstanding revolving credit. It would probably be around 35 or 40,000 today. But this is an amazing chart. It was the premise of my book, and I just love this chart. Have you got any quick comments on this one chart here? Because it tells such an amazing story. Or could have if we went back to backing just our base currency, which is not, that's a small portion of the currency supply.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but most dollars are not created by the government. The same thing with most euros or any country that has an advanced banking system. The currency, most of it is created by the banking system, not the government. The government and their central bank work in partnership by swapping IOUs to create the base currency, which is the currency in circulation, which used to be just a few percent of the US currency supply. It's much larger now since all of the QEs and so on. But this chart is what percentage of the dollar could be covered by gold. And what's interesting is if you look on the left-hand scale where there's a 100% line, you've got the median in here of 43.1%, but twice in the past, and this again was the will of the public and the free markets and just a rebalancing of the economies around the world. But if you drew a line across here at 100%, you'd see that in the 1930s and early 40s, the value of the gold of the treasury exceeded the currency supply by quite a bit, almost 40%. And then it was more than 120% back in 1980. So you can see that we could have gone back on the international gold standard in 1980, and it's a shame we didn't take that opportunity. But I believe that, governments around the world had all become addicted to deficit spending, especially the United States. And you can't do that when you're on a gold standard. It comes back to haunt you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just shows you actually how cheap gold is at the moment in monetary terms, and how much the whole monetary expansion made gold cheaper. So it is just another sign and another chart that clearly shows that we will at some point start this mean reversion. We're far below the long-term median, far below the long-term mean. So normally we should go significantly higher. And I mean, you can do the math.
I think we're going to go back up to that 100% mark again.
Yeah, probably.
When I show this chart, I always add outstanding revolving credit to it also. And it's a line that is halfway between the bottom of this graph and the line that you've got there now. So it shows that, right now, this chart, I'm guessing, is showing about 7 or 8% coverage of the currency supply. And when you add outstanding revolving credit, that would come down to maybe 4% or something like that. So gold has a long, long way to go. Anybody that thinks that gold is going to rise to just $3,000 and stop, I think is totally insane. I think a price of $5,000 is low for gold. Once it gets going, and once there's a rush to it, I just think it's going to blow right through 5,000. If it goes through 10,000, it's possible that fiat currencies could be in trouble at that point. Who knows where the price is? And at that point, you really have to stop thinking in fiat currency prices and start thinking about the purchasing power of gold.
Yes.
You have to price gold in how many ounces is your house worth? How many ounces is a barrel of oil worth? How many ounces is the S&P 500 or the Dow Jones Industrial Average worth? And when you start thinking about the value of things instead of the price of things, it really puts things in perspective. And when you compare this to long-term averages, then you can get a sense of where gold is becoming expensive, and you should actually be trading it for real estate or for stocks or something like that.